Dear friends, welcome to the live endoscopy Lotus Hospital, Erode, Tamil Nadu. Right now, we have a case of an elderly lady with a dysphagia, and previous endoscopy showed she had a mid and upper esophageal cancer, and that was found to be inoperable. So we thought we'll bring her for further examination to see where exactly the lesion, whether the patient is suitable for dilatation and stent deployment. From the previous report, we know that is from 20 centimeter to 28 centimeter with a small risk or possibility of tracheoesophageal fistula, because the oncologist has seen and advised for SEM stenting. So right now I have my own team. The patient is under general anesthesia with a tube in place, and I'm going to show you initially how I'm going to dilate and then proceed. So here is a flexi tip metallic guide wire I'm showing here, and this will pass through the access channel. It will find its way across the stricture area, and once we know that it is crossed this stricture, then I'll use the various sizes of the Savory Gillard dilator, which is quite a durable one. As you can see, these are all given by father and grandfather, and which is go through a small channel in the middle, and it is can be seen in the C-arm. As you can see, it is very durable and user friendly dilator. It is usually the diameter of which we go is around 10 millimeter before we put the stent. We should not over dilate all these things. The diameter is actually the size of the Savory, which is shown as a number. So the diameter of the Savory, like if it is say Savory 10, that means it is 10 millimeter in diameter. Once we have that, in case there is some issue with Savory, then there is another option, that is what we use, a CRE balloon, controlled radial expansion balloon, which will go through the access channel, and this, when it goes inside the 2.8 millimeter access and it will go inside the stricture, then we'll attach this balloon to a transducer, a pressure transducer device or a syringe-like device, or what I call the inflation device with a pistol grip. And I'll request my staff nurse to hold it and forward button, and she presses, and when it's in the right middle of the stricture, what will happen is as we push more and more saline, as you can see, the balloon inflate to the predetermined diameter. Usually this one is a 10, 12, 15, and the pressure, it will be shown in the pressure transducer as shown here, and that will, once it deflated, we'll take this balloon, then that will let me to pass the guide wire and then deploy the stent. So these are the two types of dilators we use. One Savory, most common one we use, and this, the second one, occasionally we use, but this is quite an expensive way of trying to dilate. So let's go to the patient and see whether we can demonstrate deployment of self-expanding metal stent. Before that, we need to do what I call a diagnostic endoscopy to look at the length, and we have to make a mark of the upper, lower level of this lesion with what I call an external marker. And once we put that marker and once we measure, then there are various sizes available. We usually put what we call a +2 on either side. If it is a 10 centimeter, then we have to put 2 centimeter on either side, so that there is no risk of what I call a tumor overgrowth. So that's the way we measure. So we presume this patient had a 10 centimeter lesion, so he would require possibly a 15 centimeter stent, and this is one of the such stent, what we call, by thanks to the Shally, and this is what we call a distal release system. And once it is going to be demonstrated, I'll exactly tell how it is going to release and how it is going to be deployed under C-arm control. And let's go on to the procedure now. I'm just about to show you the lesion. As you can see in the endoscopy view, you can see a stricture at the top end. I am passing the guide wire just to go through this lesion, and if you have any difficulty passing, then you have to be very careful. Look at the C-arm, just to make sure it is going right in the midline and go down in, and once you are sure that it is inside, then you go for a dilatation. Start from always the smallest, and the rule of 3 is applicable only in corrosive strictures. Here it is only pre-deployment of the stent, so we don't over dilate. I started with the 8, then going to the 10 millimeter diameter of this savory. And you have to see there are some tricks in our sleeves. One, there should not be any buckling in this particular spring. As you can see, it will buckle very easily. So with the twisting movements like this, I gradually go. Very good lubrication is the next important thing you need to ensure, and until it goes very close to the mouth, you just go for a gentle twisting movement. Once it's go inside, and there is a marker to say 10, 20, 30 and 40 centimeter from incisor tooth, and always you try to push it in by using your non-dominant left hand in a supinated way, and it is very close to your shoulder. So the pressure exerted is very minimum. Otherwise, if you use your dominant right hand or use it like this, like a chisel, then it will cause more damage. You will over dilate and cause perforation. So you can see me how gradually I am going millimeter at a time, at the same time doing a screening whenever it is required. So ensure that it is in the right place. Then by railroading mechanism, what I call, as I pull back the dilator, I push the guide wire so that the guide wire is not coming out accidentally. So we should not lose. This is the another that is called any exchange. As you can see here, there is no shift of the guide wire. It is still in the midline, right in the place I wanted. Then once you have done this, then again you go back and place the guide wire with the endoscopy. Now the second stage, what I do is trying to do the marking, proximal, distal. As I said before, this patient is having a very awkward place, the tumor. So I need to be very careful of exact site. So this is what I call the proximal limit. I'm using some safety pin as a proximal limit of the tumor that is around 20 centimeter in the incisor teeth. That is about 5 centimeter below the cricopharynx. So I'm just checking at the top end. Here is the top end we had. Then after the putting the safety pin, as you can see, it is matching. Then you go further in and then find the distal marker. You put the distal marker and again another marker. So staff is ready with that one. And the distance between these two is the length of the stent plus 2 centimeter on either side. So that is the total length of the stent you are going to ask for. And you can watch, I continue to do 2 more markings. So this is the length of the stricture, as you can see, the proximal and distal. I need 2 more markers. What are the 2 more markers? The one, of course, is the lower end of the esophagus, that is LES, I want to know, because I don't want the stent unnecessarily projecting into the stomach. So that's why I am putting a mark in the very lower end like this. So I don't want the stent go anywhere below this particular mark, that is the lower limit. Then the next more important thing of all this is the proximally, I want to mark where the cricopharynx is, that is at 15 centimeter, because whatever you do, you should not come very close to the cricopharynx, like this top one. See, out of the 3, the topmost one is at the cricopharynx, and it should be well below that one. Now I am, which scale I am measuring, the length of the thing is around 10. So I am adding 2 on either side, 10 plus 2 plus 2, that is 14. So we chose a 15. So we gradually we remove this endoscopy, then we pass the stent assembly with a well lubricated assembly. Then we need to ensure that in the C-arm and it is in the right place. Then I just, as you can see, my left hand is actually doing all this work where right hand is adducted, kept still. So I am pulling back the outer sheath, which is very important. Don't push, pull back. That is a secret, and there should not be any jerks. Actually here there is a little bit of jerk like that because it was a little tight, but when you inject some saline inside in the side port, it should not be a problem. Then once you are deployed, make sure that you are able to remove that, the inner plastic one, then I am just taking the remaining assembly outside, and the stent is well deployed, and we are going to see it again by a fluoro. The whole procedure is done by intermittent fluoro. As you can see, it is between the top one is the cricopharynx. It is right at the upper end. So it is between the upper end and lower end. But I would prefer probably it is another 1 or 2 centimeter just above that particular, the second marker. But at the same time, should not be very close to the first marker. That is a challenge. Can you readjust? That is a question. If after deployment, yes, it is possible, as it's shown here. You can go with a rat tooth biopsy forceps, there is usually a thread at the top end. You just gently pull the whole stent because it is just now deployed. Still it can be micromanaged, the exact deployment. So I just pulled it little bit, about a couple of centimeters, as you can see, and under the control of the C-arm. And now you see the C-arm now closely, and it is more or less like a optimum position, about 2 to 3 centimeter below the, this is the cricopharynx. And you can see the cricopharynx is about 3 centimeter below the cricopharynx. In the funnel-shaped proximal flange is well within or below the cricopharynx, ideal place, less chance of migration. So this is the ideal placement. At the same time, I just concentrated at the lower end also, just to ensure that it is within the esophagus, it not projecting beyond the lower esophageal sphincter. So that's what the next picture we need to show. So this is the picture number 1, as you can see just now you have seen, and we'll move on to the next picture, and that will exactly show where exactly the lower end. See, here is the final one, that is the lowermost pin at 6 o'clock position is LES. It is just above that. So it is also funnel shaped, nicely expanded, so nice deployment. So we were happy, but still you should not feed these patients at least for 24 to 48 hours for the stent to expand further. Thank you very much.